Hey girl, welcome back to another episode of Rock That Fitness with Anna Rockstar and Olga Geissler. Did I say it right? Please tell me. I always mess it up.
It's
Did I?
Geissler.
Geissler.
Yeah,
Oh
like
my
Geico.
goodness. Like Geico. Yes. Okay. Now let's see if I remember. My sweet friend Olga Geissler, and we're back together on the pod because we're gonna talk it up about alcohol, and we're gonna get into some nitty gritty. We're gonna get vulnerable. We're gonna share some personal experiences, and we know we're also gonna talk a little bit about the science of alcohol and how it affects us in menopause or perimenopause, just women as we're aging, and so that is what we're gonna do. So yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So where
We're
would you like to
here.
start?
We're here in the studio together, and that's our transition. So let's dive in, Olga. Let's tell our listeners a little bit, first of all, a little bit about you. Yeah, let's talk about a little bit about you. Tell us where you're from, because you've been on here before. Which, Chrissy, if you don't mind, please go ahead and include a link to that podcast episode that we did together. Have we done just one, or did we do two? I feel
Two.
like we've done two. Okay, that's right. Okay, well, here we are. Third time's the charm. So, Chrissy, if you could please link that episode in the show notes, that would be great. Olga, tell us a little bit about you. So happy you're here.
Oh, thank you, Anna. So my name is Olga Geissler, and I am a nurse, and I also am a coach. I love helping women escape the wine o'clock. Alcohol use is a silent pandemic in our country where many people, myself included, start to question our relationship with alcohol and finding ourselves kind of, what do I do? Do I have a problem? And when we question our relationship, it seems like there are not many places that we can turn to for help. There is your doctor who can label you with alcohol use disorder, or AA, where you come in and sit in a circle and say, I am doomed forever and I am powerless against alcohol. So those are the options. And I really, when I 3 years ago found myself in that spot where I was questioning myself and my use of alcohol, I did not like those options at all, because I am not powerless. I am a leader in my life, and I like to call the shots and what I do and don't do. And I did not like that I had that pull to the wine store to pick up a bottle of wine when I felt stressed in the end of the day. I wanted to learn how to kind of be and live without any substance in my life
Okay,
that's
that's
helping me
what.
feel
Yeah,
better. And that's what I
and
help. Yeah,
and
good.
that's what connected us, and that's awesome. We're going to get into all those things. But Olga, tell us about you. Like, where you live. You are married, you have kids. Tell us about you. A little bit about Olga.
Yes, so I am a nurse. I work in a hospital and I live in Colorado Springs. I am married. My husband is military. He was in the Army for 22 years. So I was a military wife. We retired to about 5 years ago. And I have two kids. They are 16 and 22 now, two daughters.
And you
Yeah.
also have two other living beings.
I have my precious, precious puppies. They are golden doodles, and they're 5 and 3 now. They're
Oh,
just
wow.
the
I was going to
cutest
ask you,
things.
how old are they? They are so cute. I love seeing
Yeah.
that story you had on Instagram with them running up the stairs with those big stuffed carrots, stuffed animal carrots. They're not animals, well, they're stuffed,
Yes.
plushy
Yes.
toys.
Mhm.
So, well, thank you. Thanks for introducing yourself. And Olga, I got to tell our listeners why you're so special to me. And I have talked about my story when it comes to alcohol on several occasions, and I still do from time to time add a little bit about it. And this most recent time, I've taken breaks from drinking alcohol off
Mhm.
and on throughout my life, and it's been like maybe a 2 week break, maybe a month. I've done a couple of times for a year. One time I did a year and a half. And finally, most recently, it was a year again. And this time it's crazy. I'm not going to go back. I don't have a plan to go back. And this happened the reason I took this break the last time was it was June 2023 when you and I connected. So it's just been over a year that we met online. And I think the group was because there was a book that I had been listening to, and I had listened to a couple of times, which I highly recommend anybody. This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. And I listened to that audiobook a couple of times, was inspired to do the alcohol experiment and just experiment with no alcohol. And the time that I was going through, I was healing from surgery, and I was going through surgery, and I wasn't able to get my fix, what do you call it? Like my dopamine hit, whatever I felt like. And I felt like I was using alcohol for that at the time a little more than I was happy with. And it was really bothering me. It wasn't impacting my life anyway like that, but it was because I wasn't happy with, I noticed I was drinking more, and I'm like, it's not even just like a weekend thing. Now I'm having a drink, not every day, but it was becoming more regular throughout the week. And I'm like, I don't like this. I started to really not like that. I noticed it. I would say it's not controlling me, but yet I craved it. And so this is what caused me to be more curious about what was really happening chemically in my mind and my brain. And that's why I listened to this book, This Naked Mind by Annie Grace, and such a great book. And there's support groups and everything. And I decided, I'm going to go into this group and just kind of experiment with that. And I got connected with you. I can't even remember what I posted, but you were one of the first people that connected with me. And I mean, it was instant. It was like the universe knew that we needed to meet. And it was, I think even that afternoon, we talked on the phone, and we were like on the phone for like an hour at least. I'll never forget it because it's so meaningful and impactful. And I remember doing house laps while I was talking to you, and you were just so easy to talk to. And you didn't tell me what to do, but you were just such a great listener, and you asked me some very, very wise, pointed questions. You're just really great at this coaching thing you do with people who want to either, cut back on alcohol or eliminate it completely. I just love your approach, your non-judgmental approach to the way that you coach. And I can't say enough about you as far as like being a coach. And I love your passion for helping women to get free from alcohol, get free from this idea that alcohol is there for our entertainment and we have to have it. And it's just this cultural thing. And so much I have learned through my own studies, and also just through so many discussions that we've had together. So, and beyond that, I want to tell my listeners that you have become such a close friend, and we connect regularly now, and I love it. I love our friendship. So just wanted to say that. So that's how we connected, and it's been truly a blessing in my life, and you're just very meaningful to me. So I'm glad, very happy to have you. And so we were talking last week, and I said, you know what? I think it's time would you mind coming on the podcast again? And you gladly accepted. And so here we are. And we were talking about what we wanted to talk about today. Not just because if you listen to the other episodes, we discussed the science and what's actually taking place in our bodies and in our brain chemically when we drink alcohol. We talked about a lot of that kind of stuff that's kind of more science-y, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But I think what I really want to share with our listeners today are some of the experiences that you and I were talking about that we had when we drink alcohol, that we just want our listeners to know that you're not alone if this is you. And we want to share some of these very vulnerable stories that we have from our past, so you can know, like, there's no judgment here. This is the no judgment zone. But you were so kind to write down some notes, because we were talking on the phone while I was driving, and you wrote down some notes, and we didn't even really put them in any kind of order, but that's okay. We're chill here. We're like, cool as cucumbers, ready to talk about this. And I guess we can do. What do you want to talk about first, Ogle? Do you want to talk about the? We were going to talk about perimenopause and menopause and how alcohol affects us as women in this particular stage of our lives.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you, Anna. And I just wanted to reply to your description of how we met. It was a blessing when I think you sent me a message and just said, "Hey, I just think that as I'm reading your posts in the group, you sound like you know what's going on, and I can really relate to what you're saying." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah." And you said, and I'm a nurse too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's awesome." And I gave you my phone number and you called and I just talked to you and we became like best friends within the first hour, I think, of the
Really?
conversation. Yeah, I just felt so like I knew you for a very long time. And maybe it's
Yeah.
your ability to be so real. We just connected and it
We
was
did.
magic. So I just wanted to say that. But
Thank you.
I do want to start with saying that there is no judgment. If someone is drinking alcohol, whatever it is, beer, wine, whatever you like, and you enjoy it, you like the results that you're getting, and it's not affecting you or your life, continue to do so. Because we are really talking to women who are like quietly, silently, like they are suffering. Alcohol is not fun anymore. I don't really want to drink it. I don't feel good with it, but I keep going back to it.
Yeah.
And I'm questioning, do I have a problem or
Mm-hmm.
not? And
Mm-hmm.
that is something where I found myself in the very beginning of my journey, where just questioning my relationship with alcohol made me feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm one of those broken people in AA, or in the movies that you've seen, or we all
Yeah.
have that uncle that, was maybe not making the best choices. And
Right.
that question itself, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
each of us has like there isn't like a one type. Like everybody experiences alcohol in their life in a completely different way. The things that you struggled with and you had challenges with were, I think, very different compared to how I experienced it.
yes, no, for sure. And just to mention how I came to where I was is during pandemic, why my wine consumption kind of increased to everyday activity. It was in the evening. I was very high functioning, and that idea of you have to hit rock bottom. You don't have to hit anything. You
Yeah.
decide. You have a choice what you want to do with your life. And I
Mm-hmm.
just really did not like where I found myself. And I actually went to a vacation in Mexico. It was, let's just start with this vulnerable story of mine.
Okay, go
It
for it.
that was my wake up call in a way, where I went to Mexican vacation, all inclusive, with my family, with my two kids and my husband. I was in paradise. I met lots of new friends. We were drinking margaritas and mojitos by the pool, by the beach, dancing. Then shots came in. People were bringing shots and ordering them. And of course, I want to be cool too. I participated. Then by the end of the day, kids went to bed and we went on with our new friends to the bar. And I thought I was having fun, but then I was talking to this new group that we met at the bar. And at some point we were hugging and we were talking and, sort of having fun. And the person who I was talking to said, "We just got out of prison." And I remember like, "Oh, that's okay." We talked more. I didn't even ask like why they were in prison, or like I didn't really care, that where your frontal lobe is not really functioning anymore. Anyway, I don't really remember how I got back to the room.
Wow.
And I woke up in the
Yeah.
morning, I felt sick. I felt sick to my stomach. I got up and we had breakfast. We went back to the pool and I had to run to the bathroom to vomit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the day I spent in bed
Mm.
because I was violently ill from all of those shots and all of that.
Yeah.
And when I got back home, like a few days later, I just realized that I felt sick after my vacation for a week
Yeah.
in paradise with my family. Yes, we made some memories and such, but as I reflected on it, I realized that alcohol was the factor that made me sick. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I feeling this way? Alcohol. And I decided to take a break. I took a break for about a few weeks. I was reading the book, listening to Annie Grace, This Naked Mind,
Yeah.
and kind of like hearing her ideas and her point of view and all this research, and I was connecting with it. Then I went back to Mexico with my husband to celebrate our anniversary. And I decided, okay, because I never intended to like not drink ever.
Yeah.
It was just a break. So when
Right.
I went back to Mexico, I said, I'm just going to have one drink a day. That's it. And I was doing fine until we met this fun couple where we were
The fun
talking,
couple.
having fun, and drinks started to flow. And I only had few drinks, but by the time I got to the room, I lied down on bed and I just remember my whole room is spinning and I felt so dizzy.
Yeah.
And I said, oh no, it's happening again. I hate it. I
Uh,
hate the way I feel.
yeah.
And in the morning, I woke up and I saw this amazing view, beach front view, the ocean, my favorite.
Yeah.
And I have a splitting headache. I took Motrin and went back to bed for another
Wow.
hour. I got up, and that was my moment where I said, I'm taking a real break for
Mm-hmm.
30 days to clear my head. And I just needed to learn how to love myself, how to show up in social situations without needing something in my hand, like a
Mm-hmm.
pacifier of some sort. Because that's what alcohol was doing for me. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like helped me be more courageous in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
What people
thought,
call it liquid courage.
liquid
Do you
courage.
do you mind, Olga? Do you mind if I ask what is your age? I'll be first. I'm 53.
Of course, I am 44 right now. I'm turning 45 this October.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's October. Hey, okay, we'll talk about that later. So, no, the reason I just ask is because I think that something that women need to be aware of is we're already dealing with so much in our
Hmm.
bodies as we're aging and as we're going through perimenopause, because perimenopause is a very confusing time for many women because their hormones are fluctuating. They're not steady. And when our hormones are fluctuating and we're having periods that are irregular, and it's just a very already uncomfortable time. And so when we add alcohol into the mix, now we're really adding like alcohol fire or fuel to the flame, right? So can
Hmm.
you speak to this a little bit on a biological, in a way that like just our everyday friends can understand that, how it's impacting us, as we're
Yes.
aging.
Yes, and this is something, I went to nursing school, you went to nursing school. We
Hmm.
never learned this. I
Yeah.
actually learned that moderate drinking was
Yeah.
okay. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
healthy,
It's healthy, right? Have a
right?
glass
It
of
was
red
healthy.
wine.
Why
Red
don't
wine.
you? Antioxidants and whatnot. Yeah, cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, so when we ingest, let's say, glass of wine, seems innocent, but what happens in our body, we have chemoreceptors everywhere. So as soon as our body senses that there's alcohol present in the system, our liver, which if you're familiar with liver, it does so much.
Hmm.
Like in nursing school, they used to say, if you don't know which organ does what, just choose liver because 9 times out of 10, you'll be right. So, liver shuts down in a way all the essential processes and it goes into detoxing body from alcohol, the alcohol content in the wine.
Hmm.
And when that happens, your blood sugar is not being controlled. So you're like, as you're drinking, you're like, oh, chocolate. So like you eating chocolate, you eating, I don't know, cheese, meat, whatever you can put your hands on, right? You're eating. Most people eat with alcohol. and you feel like you're still hungry.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you're eating, and you're just not satisfied because your
Yeah.
body cannot sense that you have the calories ingested. So that's one thing with that. And when you wake up in the morning, you're still hungry.
Yeah.
You're still like, oh my, I'm so hungry, but you
So
ate
hungry.
so much,
Right.
right? Because your body is not sensing, because your liver is still occupied. Because alcoholic beverages, especially if you had like couple drinks, 2, 3 drinks, it can take like up to 72 hours to get out of your
Right.
system. For some
Yeah.
people, it's faster. For some people, it's much slower. It's based on our age, gender, how much muscle you have, and all kinds of other things. So imagine all of that food that you're ingesting for like next day. It's just going through without being absorbed. And on top of that, you have your B vitamins that your body is storing, your electrolytes like magnesium being sucked out of your body to get rid of alcohol. Your body needs it to get rid of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just not storing the nutrients that you're eating, you're also losing
Yeah.
nutrients. So when I
Yeah.
learned that, that was like, oh, I work
Yeah.
hard on, eating my salads and blueberries. I want all that
Yes.
stuff.
Right. Right. And it is true because, one of the things that I did and we tend to do when we're drinking alcohol, we're trying
Mhm.
to, like, let's say we're in a calorie deficit and we're trying to lose
Mhm.
fat and we're exercising. We're trying to do the things that are taking care of ourselves. But when we add alcohol into the mix, and it's easy to say, well, you just got to track it like you do all calories, which, yes, you
Mhm.
will track it, but keep in mind that your body is first going to work really hard to eliminate the toxins and the poison from alcohol before it uses any of the macronutrients that you have taken in. It's going to work on that first, and it's also going to
Mhm.
be robbing you of those micronutrients, like you just said, and minerals, vitamins and minerals. So,
Yes, and on top of that, you're messing up your hormones. And our hormones in our 40s, 50s already quite messed up.
yeah.
So alcohol adds to it. So it's not a secret that when we drink alcohol, especially the next day, we kind of get a little irritable, a little anxious, and there's a reason for it. Because alcohol is a depressant and stimulant. It's very weird substance in the way it affects our body. So when I'm drinking alcohol, my body also senses that, oh my gosh, we're like depressed in a way, right? It's too relaxed. Body loves homeostasis. If
Which
you
is balance.
Homeostasis is a balance. It wants all of the hormones to be balanced. And when I'm drinking alcohol and it's going like going down, or everything is going down, my body reacts and it releases stress hormones like epinephrine, the cortisol. It shoots up. So that's why when you drink an alcohol, you'll feel kind of down, then you feel up, like woo, let's party, then you down again,
Mm-hmm.
then you have another drink, and your hormones are all over the place.
Yeah.
And the next day, like your body also prepares, like, oh, she's been drinking every day now. So let's just stay hyper alert and have that stress hormones elevated at all times because we don't know when that alcohol is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why people that use alcohol, they feel a little bit like on edge a little bit.
Edgy. Yeah. Well,
Yes,
and
and
also anxiety.
anxiety.
This
Oh my gosh,
Let's talk
yes.
about this one because I think this is a really very important point. Because a lot of women are drinking a glass of wine thinking I just want to relax.
Oh my
But
gosh, yes.
but it's contradicting what you really want in the end, and it's going to impact you, and you are going to have bouts of anxiety even beyond the time that you're drinking. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I personally
Yes.
experienced this one and it was very, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yes, yes. My one of my biggest beliefs was I'm drinking wine because it helps me to relax after a
Mm,
stressful day, especially during pandemic. My wine, it was became like 1 o'clock. Okay, I
yeah.
need a drink to relax. And that initial relaxation that you feel in, it is real. Nobody can deny it. You feel in that relaxation and buzz, and your kind of like thoughts, they shut down. You escape. You sort of feel better. If you were anxious before, now you feel better. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem is that feeling does not last. So if my anxiety, I'm a nurse, so from 0 to 10, my anxiety was, let's say, a 5. Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm having a glass of wine. It went down to a 2. Okay, and then 20 minutes later, maybe 30, all of a sudden my anxiety like went up to like an 8. And now I'm having another drink to kind of chase that relaxation state because it goes away. The feeling doesn't last. And
Yeah.
then the next day, my anxiety like stays on 8. And then I am sort of blaming everything. The traffic is bad, the kids are being too loud, the dog needs to go out again. All of the things are kind of
Mm-hmm.
irritate me because my
Mm-hmm.
cortisol, all of those things are shooting up, and those stress chemicals because my
Yeah.
body is trying to balance.
Yeah. And that stays in your system beyond, like way beyond the day that you drink it. The next day it stays in your system for a long time. That's why it takes a good, what would you say, 20 to 30 days to truly get that chemical out of your brain.
Yes, and it depends, like, again, how old we are. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
like, when I was in my 20s, I could bounce back pretty easily. Like, after a day or
Yeah.
two, I was fine.
Right.
But as I entered my 40s, it takes me, like, if I drank, like, 3, 4, like, bottle of wine, let's say I
Yeah.
drank bottle of wine, a
Right.
small one, I even if I ate, even if I hydrated, all of the things, I
Mm-hmm.
will have those symptoms of hangover for probably 2 to 3 days for sure.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And there, yeah, because there's
yeah,
just no denying that we're aging. And yes, we can slow down the process of aging with our choices of food and our activity level, and our, strength training and taking care of getting rest and managing our stress. These kind of things can help us slow down aging, but there is no stopping the aging process. And so as we're aging, we are naturally, normally, biologically, we are not metabolizing food and drinks, anything like we were when we were younger. That's just the facts. So
yes.
yeah, and then the other thing too, Olga, and this whole anxiety thing, I experienced it big time. Especially, it was even. I feel like it was even magnified for me because if I did maybe overindulge in alcohol one night, the next
Mhm.
day, not only did I have the physical feelings of anxiety because of what it's doing chemically to me, but then to compound that with the feeling of anxiety because what am I doing? And oh my gosh, I drank more than
Mm,
I should have. And that just makes me feel ashamed and like, I did it again. And it just
mhm.
compounds the anxiety about the whole thing. And then
Yes.
to top that off, it's like going to really impact, you're not going to sleep well. So
Mm,
this is just another way that we're really, harming our body and our mind, just everything. Because when I think about it, when you think about it, as we're aging, right, we are not producing as much progesterone, and that's
mhm,
the hormone that's one of the hormones that's going to help us in our sleep, and
mhm.
that's one of the reasons why women have so much trouble sleeping as they're aging because of the decrease in that. So you compound, you add that to having alcohol, and alcohol is going to disturb your sleep. So
Mhm,
now you're impacting your rest, and your body's not able to recover, rejuvenate, all of these
mhm.
things, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. It's funny that I was thinking about sleep as well. The
Yeah,
anxiety. I remember waking up in the middle of the night. For me, it would be like, because wine sort of helps you go to sleep, helps
yeah,
you fall asleep,
right.
but then you
But
kind of
then,
sleep without going into that REM cycle and
mm-hmm,
having that healing sleep where you
right,
have repair happening,
exactly, yeah,
right? So a lot of women who I spoke to, and it's a lot of women, and I experienced it myself, where I would wake up about 2 in the morning, like all of a sudden, like almost like panic. I would wake
yeah,
up and like,
wide awake.
oh my gosh, why did I do that? Why? Like, why did I eat that? Oh my gosh, did I call this person? What did I say? Oh, why did I share that? Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I would have these terrifying thoughts like, did they even say goodnight to the kids?
Oh, yes. Right, right.
There were moments where like, how did I go to sleep? Like, I don't, did I brush my teeth? Like, I don't know. And that, like, that loss of control sort
Yeah, that's
of, it
scary.
was like, ah, that like my anxiety was so high. And then in the
Yeah,
morning and then I couldn't sleep usually
yeah,
for a
yeah.
couple hours. Then I would fall asleep and it was time to get up.
Mm-hmm.
When I would wake up, I was
Oh,
always functional. I
yeah.
always woke up. I always showed up. I would drink
Yes.
coffee. I would hydrate like
Right.
crazy. I would eat lots of snacks.
Yeah.
But in the morning, I would make myself a promise: I am not drinking anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 o'clock
And then
comes
boom.
around, and here I am with another glass of wine saying,
Yes.
just one.
You're like,
Just one. It's fine.
well,
It's
it
just
wasn't that
one.
bad. I'm just gonna have one.
Wasn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I overreacting?
Right. Why
and
am I
that
overacting?
and that conflict of just one or I don't want to drink, and
Yeah.
that felt like I was going crazy. And
Yeah.
I
And that's
hated that feeling.
yeah, and that's like why I feel like this is a great topic because I think a lot of women deal with this. Now, I do
Mhm.
want to speak to our listeners who don't drink alcohol at all,
Yeah.
because I if they've never partaken or it's not an issue for them, that's fine. But I also just want to bring awareness to those that don't drink so that we can have a little better understanding of every people that are drinking, and there's different ways and levels. Like some people drink because they feel like they need to drink to relax, and
Mhm.
that's their way of relaxing, and they drink regularly. Or there's people who drink, they think they need to drink every weekend because, well, they worked all week and it's been a hard week, and now we're just gonna drink it up.
Yeah.
And then we've got people who are just, I'm just going to have a drink on the holidays or at a get
Mhm.
together once in a while. Like there's all the whole spectrum of
Yeah.
people who drink. And I'm not saying that anybody is judging, but I think it's eye opening when you think about all of the different ways that people partake in alcohol and how it has become, how it is just very cultural throughout, the country in America. It's
Yes.
cultural, yes, in other countries as well. I mean, I'm speaking from experience because my mom's from Spain, and yes, you're going to be, drinking vino and cerveza and all that all the time. But
Yeah.
anyway, the point being, like, I just think it's something to be aware of, regardless of whether we drink or not, and also just understand that the point we're trying to make here is if you do drink alcohol and you're questioning yourself and your health and where you're at in your fitness journey, your health journey,
Mhm.
this is why we're talking about it. So you can have information, so you can be informed and make your decisions based on what you know.
Yeah.
Because there are those that feel like, you know what, I can have a drink once in a while and I'm okay with it, and that's their choice. It is a choice. I've been there too. I've done that.
Yeah.
Moderation is what they like to call it. But I decided I didn't want to even moderate anymore because I just started finding more and more no good reason for it. Even
Yeah.
though
Yeah.
I
And
would come
can
up
you,
with reasons.
yes. And like you said, there's no judgment. I think I had my share of alcohol in my life and all of that, and I moderated, and I had periods of time where I only drank on weekends, and it wasn't a problem for me per se. And I
Yeah.
still don't see it as a problem. I see it as our social activity. Like drinking alcohol is normal. Not drinking is not normal. And the reason we're
Yes.
talking about it is really there's not many places where you can talk about it. There are
Yeah.
not many places where you can really think about, how do I really feel? Do
Hmm.
I really enjoy it? Do I really get up in the morning and say, "Yeah, I'm so glad I drank yesterday"?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, have you
And
ever had that feeling?
yeah, like I'm thinking about, when I was going through the alcohol experiment and listening to
Mhm.
the books, and it really opened my eyes to that. And then when you're not having alcohol and you're in a situation, I remember very, very vividly, there was, I think it was New Year's, this past New Year. I don't remember when it was. I think it was New Year's. And we were at this event. It was a big networking thing, everybody having a wine or and I had a moment when I think I told you, Olga, I was like, I just wanted to get a glass of wine, not to drink it, but just to walk around with it,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
to feel like I'm part of the party.
Yes.
And it's like, well, and I had to question, why do you need to do that? Do you need to do that? And I think there was like this kind of conflict inside of me. Like I wanted to do it so I can sort of, I didn't feel like I needed it to be a part of the
Hmm.
party, but also I didn't want anybody questioning me at all. And it's
Yeah.
like I got past all those things. And this is what happens when you do the alcohol experiment. You go through all these different scenarios, and you really open up your mind to why you're doing things, your motives behind it, and it really opens your eyes to just how powerful it is that being around other people drinking alcohol is. Yeah.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
definitely.
I didn't have a
I
glass of wine, and I didn't get a glass of wine just to carry around either. I was talking to Country Boy, and I even gave him, I was like, maybe I just get a glass of wine just to walk around with. And he looked at me like, okay, that's crazy.
No, I get it.
And
I
then I
get
was
it. It's
like, yeah,
not
you're
crazy.
right. That's dumb.
No, it's quite normal actually, because we do, like we discussed before, we like to mimic, like
Hmm.
it's involuntary.
Right.
Like whenever you are talking to someone, at some point you will have almost same gestures and you will have same body position. And if
Uh-huh.
like scratch my face,
Yeah.
your nose will probably start to
Right.
itch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's normal for me to try
Yes.
to fit in with my glass of wine. And
Yeah.
I get a mocktail
Yep.
at
Yeah.
parties, and I
Yes.
have that, sort of a pacifier in a way, because I want to fit in. And I
Yeah.
also don't want to be like, okay, now I'm just gonna drink water
Yeah.
only. Like it's not fun. Like let's
No, I
drink
like to
different
have fun. I
things.
want to have an
Yeah,
experience, so I'm gonna have a
yeah,
mocktail to experience, and
yeah,
no questions asked. Like
yeah,
a lot of times it looks like I'm having, excuse me, an alcoholic beverage. Like now, I'm actually drinking kombucha,
yeah,
which it is fermented, by the way.
yeah.
And funny thing, since I don't drink alcohol, I actually do notice the alcohol in kombucha. Do you ever drink kombucha?
I do drink kombucha, not all the time, but here and
Yeah,
there,
I don't
yes,
drink it
I
all the
do.
time. Very
Yeah,
rarely,
yeah.
but it has like a minute, I don't even know, like just a minute amount of alcohol in it. And
Hmm.
because I don't drink alcohol, I notice it. Like I feel the
Uh-huh.
effects. It's crazy because it's just so minute. But yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, I digress. I just
yeah.
but let's talk. We were talking also about, just this idea that some women think that they don't even put any thought into it. When you go to a gathering, a party,
Hmm.
and they're not regular drinkers, but they
Yeah.
just go ahead and have an alcoholic beverage just so they can be a part of it, and that we
Yes.
don't need to feel that pressure. And you'd be
Yes.
surprised sometimes when people can actually respect. I'm going to give this real quick. I wanted to give this example,
Hmm.
because I don't talk about it. And oh, let me back it up. I'll back it up a little, because the thing is, when you want to, if you choose to go alcohol free or do an
Yeah.
experiment for 30 days, you're going to
Hmm.
go through a lot. There's a process you go through, not just the process of the mind and the thought, but first you go through like chemical cleansing, like it gets
Hmm.
cleansed from your body. As you're doing that, you're going through something, because you're going through like the cravings, and then you're going through
Hmm.
situations and people and things that happen that cause you to want to have the alcoholic beverage. You learn all these
Hmm.
things. Then when you finally clear your body and your brain from the chemicals, now you don't have that chemical physical craving. Now it's more like a mind craving, or it
Hmm.
could be a situational. It's just
Hmm.
so fascinating to me. I couldn't wait the last time I decided to take this alcohol break. I was so looking forward to the 30 days being over, because I wanted that. I wanted all the chemicals out of my body and
Yeah.
brain so I could think straight and see where
Yeah.
I was. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be making any decisions about drinking another alcoholic beverage until that
Hmm.
30 days was over. And still, even beyond that, for me, it was every day I have a choice, and I was choosing not to. I can still have a drink. I'm not an
Yeah.
all or nothing. I would say that. I am not an all or nothing person. If I want to
Hmm.
drink, I will have a drink. I'm going to keep
Yes.
my power, girl. I am powerful. And
Yeah.
if I want to drink, I will have it. So
Yeah.
I kept that. But you go through all of these, I think they're like phases. If you
Mm-hmm.
are, if you were really intentional about it. And sometimes those phases mean that you're going to go back into moderation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different thing for everybody. It's a journey, right? And whatever it takes. But I find it very interesting what you were saying, like the alcohol's flowing and people are together and they feel instantly like, let's have a shot. Let's all have a shot. Oh, it's so great to
Yeah.
see you.
Yeah.
Let me get you a shot. It's like a
Yeah.
thing. It's like a tradition.
Yes.
And I recently had this happen to me. I was at a bar because I'm in a band and we play in bars,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody that I've known for many years, and she was like, let's have a shot. And I said, no,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much. Like I was thankful because she was wanting to offer me something, right? It was a
Yeah.
gift, and I said, no, thank you. And she's like, oh, okay. Like kind of like the question look, like,
Yeah.
okay, like asking me. You could tell the question was there in her face, so I felt like I had to give her an answer. I said, I appreciate it. I just don't. I'm not drinking tonight. I just don't like. I just don't want. I don't want to drink tonight because I just don't want how it feels. I don't. And then she goes, "Oh, so are you not drinking alcohol at all?" And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Yeah, I'm not. I just don't. I just decided that I just
Yeah.
don't like how I feel when I drink it." And you know what
Yeah.
she said? She said,
Uh-huh.
"I respect that. I respect
Oh,
that." And I was like
yeah.
so relieved because we want to
Yeah.
be accepted.
Yeah. It's Yeah, and that's awesome that she reacted like that. I love that. But let's mention other reactions, right?
Okay,
There's
yeah.
other way to react. And it's funny, let me just tell you, I've met people that would tell me, I don't eat vegetables. I just hate vegetables. And the group of people that we would be talking to would be like, oh, yeah, no big deal, like vegetables, like that's great.
Yeah.
Or people will say, oh, I don't drink water. I just hate the taste. And, you standing there like listening to it, and everyone in the group would be like, oh, yeah, yeah, water. Yeah. Oh, right. That's our society, right? Or if
Yeah.
I say, like, oh, like, I don't eat cabbage, like, I just don't like cabbage, he'll be like, great, great for you,
Yeah.
Olga.
Not a big
But as
deal.
soon as I say, I don't drink alcohol, you will have people that weren't even paying attention to you. They would be like, standing there like, oh, now they hear you say, I don't drink alcohol. Why not?
Yeah,
Like,
all of a
why?
sudden, what's
Why?
wrong with
I need
you?
to know right now, like, why are
You
you
have a
not drinking
problem.
alcohol?
You have a problem.
Or people also will say things like, oh, well, I don't drink that much. And I only drink, on social occasions. And you see them drink like 10 drinks and they don't have any reaction to it. And people don't drink that on social occasions, but there's a tolerance involved. But it's not the point. We all like
Yeah.
start to defend ourselves.
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
we're doing with alcohol. There,
Yeah.
it's such a sensitive topic because there is that stigma and there is that AA teaching us that if you question your relationship with alcohol, you might have a problem.
Hey, hey, that leads into a great segue that we were going to talk about.
Uh
We're not even
huh.
going on the notes. Are you keeping track of your notes, Olga? That
Yeah.
was something we were going
Good.
to talk about because this was a topic, this was a very important point we wanted to make. Let's move on.
Yes. Yes.
If you have a problem with alcohol, you have a disease.
Yes.
That,
Yes.
that. And this is very controversial. It's a controversial topic
Hmm.
because AA says that you have a disease. And I would love to hear your take on this
Yes,
because I
there
have
is.
my own.
Yes, there is a disease model and allergy model, but in all of the things with AA, especially, it's sort of like the blame is on individual. We don't blame the substance. We blame the individual, like something's wrong with
Mm,
you. And
okay.
that's why women waking up in the morning terrified, oh my gosh, something's wrong with
Wrong
me.
with me. There.
With me.
That.
And that's just so heartbreaking. Is that really true?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because alcohol is a drug. and it's a very powerful drug.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a nurse in the hospital. I see people withdrawing from alcohol, having seizures, having hallucinations, sweating profusely. I've seen people die from alcohol.
Mm.
It is a
Yeah,
drug, and not
yes.
like few people. I've seen so many people die and suffer with alcohol. And it is really heartbreaking what I see. But those people afraid, many of them afraid to speak up and ask for help because they don't want to be labeled. They
It's
don't want to.
interesting. It's a drug,
Hmm.
but
Hmm. It
it's
is a
not
drug.
illegal. But it's not illegal.
Yeah.
But people
Yeah.
are
But
dying from
yeah,
it.
the thing is, alcohol, if we think about it, domestic abuse and any type of crime, child abuse, um, all kinds of bad decisions, driving while intoxicated, all of that with alcohol, it's so easy. And I don't really think that if we make something illegal, people will not do it. I
Yeah,
think like it will still be here. It's just more understanding that it is a drug, understanding how it affects my body, understanding how it makes me feel. But the big thing with disease, like, let's go back to that for a second. Like, if someone, for example, if let's say John had started using cocaine and John went to rehab, he left rehab clean, he's not using cocaine, and maybe he moved to a different neighborhood, a different town, right? Unless he goes out there and start to look for cocaine, right? He's not gonna be in, like, cocaine is not in his face. But
hmm,
with alcohol, like, if
yeah,
somebody is thinking like, oh, I want to take a break, and then, oh, there's a birthday, there's anniversary, there's camping trip, there's this, there's that, it's in your face. It's
everywhere.
not easy
Yeah,
to take a break. It's not easy to
right.
talk about it, to question it. It's not easy.
Yeah,
And I don't believe in disease model. I believe it's something that we learn early on. We learn that, oh, when I'm 21, I can legally drink, but let's confess, most people started way earlier than
yeah,
that,
for
right?
sure. Oh
It's
yeah,
this magic potion that will make everything better and we're going to be cool.
yeah,
So then when you're legally able to drink, you drink because you don't want to sit at the kids' table anymore.
yeah.
And I remember my first experiences with alcohol. I
Mm-hmm.
hated it. I was vomiting, and I always had those cheerleaders around me saying, "Oh, it's okay. That's okay. That's normal. It's normal to vomit,
Mm-hmm.
at a party. It's normal to have this splitting headache and all of that." Right? And then we practice
Yeah,
and we learn how to enjoy it. It's acquired taste.
yeah.
We
You learn how to manage.
slowly acquiring, and then we surrounded by people that sort of become marketers for alcohol. Like, we
Yeah,
become marketers, right?
yeah,
And we
yeah,
learn. Every TV show you watching, there will be someone who will say, oh my gosh, this is too much, I need a drink.
yeah,
Right? It's a learned behavior.
yeah,
We're
yeah. It
surrounded
is.
by it. And even like when you walk into the party, it's like, oh, what are you going to drink? It's not like, do you, like, sometimes it's not even, do you want to drink? It's like,
Yeah,
what is your choice?
yeah,
Like, pick one. It's,
yeah,
and when you say, I don't want to, people are like, whoa, come on, just
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Let's live a bit, and all of
yeah.
that.
And I think in
So I
this
don't
disease
believe in
thing,
disease.
no, and I know, and it's very controversial, but I think just like anything we can have a proclivity towards because of our
Hmm.
genetics, that's a one
Yes.
thing, but that doesn't mean you have to be having a disease. Anybody can become addicted to a addictive substance. Anyone can.
Hmm.
And you will
Yeah.
have more proclivity based on your genetics, I think. But you still
Yes.
have a choice,
Yeah.
as you know. And I do just want to say, like, the part I think that I really want to emphasize here for our listeners is, ladies, just to be mindful of how you're feeling with it. And if
Hmm.
it's not, I mean, like, that's the big thing for me. I mean, it's not about what I think other people think about me. Believe me, I really don't care.
Hmm.
I mean, I've been
Hmm.
drinking alcohol most of my life, right? But I mean, but I just decided that I don't like how I feel. like the bottom
Mm-hmm.
line, girl. And I'll tell
Yeah.
you, there have been numerous times in my past, even in my healthy fit stage,
Mm-hmm.
that I would overconsume an alcohol, and the next day it was like a running day. And guess what? Your girl's out on the beach running. And I would do that to
Mm-hmm.
myself. I was like a punishment. I'd be like, you know what? You had a few too many. Too bad. You're still gonna go running.
Yep.
Imagine
Yep.
what the heck I'm doing to myself.
Yep. I've done it.
Cortisol through the roof, you know?
Yep. Yep.
But the point to be, you have to decide for yourself. Is this something that
Yeah.
you want for you?
Yeah.
And it's not about anybody else. This is your body. This is your brain. This is your life.
Yeah.
And how you're
Yeah.
going to feel about it physically, emotionally, mentally. And how about just freaking navigating life better without it? And again, I can't emphasize this enough. There is no judgment. It's more like, let's take our power back. Because for me
Mm-hmm.
personally, alcohol took away my superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go back to it moderately, thinking, it's not, because I'm just moderating. But there was still something not quite like
Mm-hmm.
like I was not 100% powerful. It was like I was
Mm-hmm.
98% powerful. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it still was not. But since eliminating it, I feel like I can do anything. It's the craziest thing. It's not even like I was drinking that much, but it was enough for me to feel like that
Mm-hmm.
that's affecting me. It's affecting me. Does that make
Yes.
sense, Olga?
Yes. Yeah, I love what you said about the superpower, especially. It's taken my superpower away. And being me and being okay with who I am. And in my 40s, not being like confident with my body, with who I am and how I'm feeling, even not even slowing down to ask myself, how are you feeling?
Yeah,
And like, what do I actually want? Do I want to be drinking wine and not
yeah,
feeling well, or do I want something else?
yeah,
And being curious and not judgmental. I think that's like number one thing, like becoming curious and taking that judgment away.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Removing the emotions that are attached. Just
it's
looking at it from a
it's not
clinical
easy.
perspective.
Yeah.
It's not. But
Yeah.
looking at it just from a clinical perspective. Just
Hmm.
what's on your notes? I want to make sure we don't forget something really important that we wanted to talk about. Is there anything
Yes,
standing out
yes,
that we didn't talk
yes,
about?
yes. So big topic that we discussed. I remember being in my 40s, drinking my wine, right? Red wine with antioxidants, feeling
Yes, the
terrible.
antioxidants. I know.
Yeah,
Me too.
feeling terrible. Like I just felt like just cranky and just stiff, all kinds of things. I felt like kind of like I couldn't remember things well at times. And I thought that I was getting older. And that's why I feel the way I do. I did
Mm,
not even for a second slow down to see that it was the wine. The wine
okay.
was to blame. I thought I was
Yes.
getting older. And
Oh,
that's
yeah,
why I
yeah, yeah.
felt this way. But then after the first 30 days, and let me tell you, it's not easy. The first 30 days are not easy. And that's why like there is all kinds of resources out there for you, like this Naked Mind alcohol experiment. There's
Yeah.
so many different resources. And but after those 30 days, I remember feeling so clear. I felt like my life like became almost like HD color,
Yes.
where I
Yeah.
like the birds were louder, the sky was bluer. And I know it sounds kind of
But
like
it's really
silly,
true. Oh my
but
goodness.
that's what I experienced. I was like, oh, and I can like feel like my joy was coming back. And
Yeah.
that was a huge thing for me. But I love to think clearly and I love to go back to who I really was because before, even though I didn't realize it, I was sort of in the fog
Yes,
even
the
when I did
fog.
not drink that much. And
Yeah.
even if I didn't drink every day, when I didn't, I was in the fog.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like really, that was my big discovery. And that's why I added another 30 days and another 30 days. And I continued for like 6 months like that.
Yeah.
And then I went indefinitely. And I love this saying. I don't know who said it, but I just love it. It says, I will drink alcohol again. One day when I wake up in the morning, really regretting not drinking the night before,
That's right. I love that. That's so great.
when I wake up in the morning, regretting I did not drink, oh my gosh, why didn't I drink yesterday?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
will be the day I'll go back to drinking.
Yeah. But
But
so
it hasn't
true.
happened yet. It
And
just has not.
but so true that so there are so many women that just blame their age on how they're feeling,
Yeah,
fatigued, tired, not
yeah.
digesting their food well. Like they're just all any number of things they're going to blame on aging, yet they're not
Mhm,
removing alcohol from their system. And again, not no blame, no judgment here, but it's just a fact. It's just the facts. That's
mhm.
all it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
yeah.
going back to for a second for disease model, if someone out there believes that, like Olga, you just don't understand. I have a disease. I don't have power. I'm powerless. And
Mm,
if I am not here to convince you that you don't have a disease, I'm just saying, like, let's consider all of the other possibilities,
yeah.
because there's so many ways to look at different situations. And I really want to challenge you, if you
Yeah.
believe that you have a disease, um, try to think about habits, and pick up your toothbrush, and if you're right-handed, put it on your left hand and try to brush with that. How does that feel? Are you able to thoroughly brush your teeth, or will it feel really weird and you're just gonna give up in 30 seconds? Because alcohol, like for me in my life, it was deeply rooted habit.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. I don't have a disease.
Yeah.
Like I'm never tempted
Yeah. Well,
at
and
all.
what you said just really stood out because I think when you're in this mindset that it's a disease,
Hmm.
even in the 12 steps, I believe it says you admit that you are powerless.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
what?
yeah.
Ooh, like I'm thinking, wow, talk about a limiting belief,
Hmm.
giving your power away. Like
Yeah.
we got to take our power back. And I love what you said. Like let's get curious and explore other ideas and thoughts around this. Are you really powerless?
Yeah.
Giving your power away like that, it's like for the rest of your life you're powerless.
Yeah.
And I think that what that creates in us is this feeling like you're always going to crave it. You're always going to
Hmm.
be doomed. You can't
Hmm.
drink. Poor
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Like a victim. You're
Yeah.
powerless. I cannot with that, Olga. I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
all about let's take our power back, girl. Let's surround ourselves with other women that are like minded, that want to take care of their bodies, their minds,
Hmm.
and live a healthy, fit, fulfilling, joyful, positive, energetic life. And we don't need to be powerless
Yeah.
about anything. About
We have
anything.
choices. We have choices. And we learn to drink alcohol, we can learn
We
something
can
else.
we can unlearn.
We can unlearn. It's
We
like
can
if you,
rewire.
yeah, if you go into work, using one way, you one day can decide, what, I'm just going to go left here instead of
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and take
Yeah.
this other way. And
Right.
maybe it's going to be even shorter and more scenic. Like we don't
Yes.
have to do same thing over and over again. That's when our brain starts to atrophy, just like our muscles do.
Mm-hmm.
Taking yourself like out of the habit
Yeah. Yeah.
and trying something new, it doesn't matter how scary it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's so good for us. So
Yes.
good.
And if you're taking back your power, not only are you taking back your power from alcohol,
Hmm.
now it's like magnified power because now you have power to make better choices about your health and about your food choices and about your
Yes.
activities, and now you have the energy to do it, and you're not losing days to recover from drinking alcohol and
Yeah.
losing time, precious
Yes.
time. And we're really going late here, and I feel like I kind of like gave our word that we were going to share some vulnerable things. So
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Let's go ahead and do that real quick here. I'll have it real quick. Give a couple of stories. Maybe you give a story. I can give a couple of stories. I know we're going late, but the reason I want to do this is because I just want our listeners to know, like, I'm not perfect. I've done some crappy things, and um, like you're not alone if you feel like alcohol has taken away some of the memories, or you know taken away some of the things that you could have experienced in a better, healthier way. You're not alone, but it doesn't have to
Hmm.
keep on being like that. So yeah, we wanted to
Yes.
share.
Yeah, for sure. I guess my vulnerable story would be that sometimes people say to me, "Well, Olga, you just don't understand. Like, I've
Mm,
been drinking for such a long time and I just don't have the power." And I wake up like having all the regrets and all the things. And I can tell you, it doesn't take that long to have that. Because for me, when I was a nurse during pandemic with N95 masks and eye shields in place, and you leave work and feeling so much anxiety, and then you go home and drink wine to feel better,
mm-hmm.
because really that's all we're doing, we're trying to feel better.
Yeah.
So have some compassion for yourself with that, like
Yes. Yeah.
understanding that I am not here trying to harm myself. I don't believe that anyone who has used alcohol or something else, you know, we nobody tried to harm themselves. Really, we really trying to escape, stop
Yeah.
the thoughts,
Yeah.
relax, whatever it is, and have some compassion. And
Yeah.
have some compassion with yourself when I remember vividly waking up in the morning just sick to my stomach, having like acid in my throat,
Mm-hmm.
having splitting headache, and having like this regrets where I was beating myself up in my head for drinking yet again and breaking my promises. And I was sick, and instead of having compassion and kindness towards myself,
Mm-hmm.
just saying, okay, okay, well, we made mistakes. Let's focus on right now and like coach myself through it and finding the way out of it. I would just feel that shame and regret and beat myself up, and then later in the evening I would want to feel better
Yeah.
because I was tired of feeling that way. I was
Yeah.
tired of all of the things as a mother does at home and at work. And, our work is never done, right? And then you don't feel good about yourself on top of
Yeah.
that. That's when we go into that cycle. And like
Yeah.
having the compassion, bringing curiosity, and learning new things, that's like the way to get out of that cycle. And I have lots of different stories. And I shared my Mexican vacation
Yes, you did.
where I came home. I don't like I was scrolling on my phone to look at pictures from that vacation. I
Yeah.
have only few pictures
Oh, because you
because I
forgot to
wasn't
take
the like
pictures.
I forgot to take like I forgot like to whatever. Like I remember it, but there are some
Yeah.
gaps in memory,
Yeah.
and I just remember some things that made me cringe before, like,
Yeah.
oh, can't believe like I
Yeah.
did this and that. But now you know
Yes.
what? One more thing just to end like this vulnerability part with. I am also so glad that all of this happened in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm so like I am grateful for it
Yeah.
because of that I
Yes.
am helping other women. I am talking about this, and I am helping so many other people find way out of the cycle
Yeah.
and share
Yeah.
what I learned, share
I
some
love that.
skills, and
Yeah.
my kids as well. My husband,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't drink anymore either. And
Yeah.
he had all kinds of like moments where he was like, wow, like I didn't even think about it this way.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that that happened. There are
Yeah.
no regrets, there's no shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We take all of it, and it's a learning, something that we can learn from,
Hmm.
lessons from, and we can take this what seems so negative and, yeah, dark, and we can turn
Hmm.
it around for something really good and positive and helpful to
Hmm.
others. I feel that
Yes.
too. My vulnerable, gosh, too many, honestly, really. And I don't have shame about it. I just have I do have compassion. I have very strong self-compassion for me because I think of myself as a little girl being surrounded by alcohol and alcoholism and this behavior
Mhm.
that was quote unquote normal growing up.
Yeah.
And I had alcohol as a child. Like I would drink
Mhm.
that. Like, grown-ups would let you have drinks, sip their wine,
Yeah.
sip their beer. So my
Mhm.
compassion comes from not being parented and guided well as a child for my
Mm.
health purposes. And then just that training, I was trained this way. It was the way
Mhm.
everybody did it. Every holiday, everything, every event. Alcohol is part of it. That's just normal. That's what I was trained. And
Yeah.
so my compassion for that, and then my compassion for needing, feeling the need to have it, to comfort myself, to
Mhm.
comfort those feelings of uncomfortableness, whether it be sadness or anger or frustration, or I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I am stressed, but taking alcohol so that I can soothe that.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
have compassion for her. And we did it different this time, and we're going to continue doing it differently. And um, but vulnerably, I mean, and I'm not proud to say this, and thankfully, I didn't harm myself or anybody except one time I did. I did harm myself. I was 21 and I had a car accident because I was drinking and driving.
Mhm.
And I could have died because I was blacked out. It was actually the only time that I ever, I believe, had a blackout was at that time, and I had a car accident. I only harmed myself. Yes, I was in the hospital, but um, so yeah, I mean that's being vulnerable right there.
Yeah.
And other times that you drink too much the next day, and you're counting. For me,
Yeah.
how many beers did I have last night? And I'm counting the
Mhm.
cans, and I'm like, what in the wow, I drank a lot of cans of beer. Like,
Mhm.
this is vulnerable. And it's like,
Yeah.
do I want Country Boy to see all these beers I drank? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the shame,
Yeah.
the guilt that comes in those moments. When I look back, it's like I have compassion, but that's my vulnerability. Like, yeah, that I
Yeah.
did that. I
Yeah.
harmed myself in those
Yeah.
ways. And
Yeah.
these days is a completely different story. And I want to show up fully aware and
Mhm.
clear minded with clarity and focus. And I want to show up for myself, number one, because I love how I feel showing up. The whole world is in more than 3D. I taste everything better. I smell everything better. I see everything better. I think about everything better, and I can
Mhm.
show up and I can present whatever I have to offer the world in a way better,
Mhm.
state of mind. And I love it. And there was a time when I thought I had this stinking thinking that, oh, old people don't drink because they're old.
Mhm.
so, so as I'm aging, I'm thinking, well, I want to keep drinking because, girl, I am young. I can drink,
Yeah.
you know? But the fact is, it's not helpful. And it's a ridiculous thought for me to have. I mean, it's like, that's not true. It's funny the things that we think about. Like,
Yeah.
some women think, oh, you got to have a good time. You can't have a good time without alcohol. You know what? I rebel against that. I'll show you a good time without any alcohol. I'll show you an even better time without alcohol, girl. I can't
Exactly.
tell you how many times I am, performing in a show. I'm at a show. I'm at the nightclubs. I am going all out, having a blast, a great time. And the next
Mhm.
day, I'm tired, but thank God I didn't have any alcohol because it would have been really bad,
Yeah.
you know? But I was actually like, I'm able to really give a really good show without alcohol, and I can feel so much better than everyone else
Yeah.
who's drinking too much.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
We
my
yeah.
vulnerability, and I'm not judging anybody because I've had my share, like you say, Olga. Believe me, more than enough that I've had, and embarrassing moments at the time. Because I look back now, I have compassion. But yeah,
Yeah.
getting sick, especially getting like vomiting and sickness in front of other people or a friend. Wow, those are the
Yeah.
moments. You're like
Those are
the
the moments
that is just
when we
like
had fun.
we had so much fun. That was fun. Can we pull the car over? Because I'm having so much fun. I'm going to get sick.
Yes. Yes. So
Oh, because we're having so much fun.
yes. Oh my gosh. The
Yeah.
connection, with people and having fun is so much better for me now. And talking about, I realized that I've never learned to not be awkward at like social events and connecting with people as an
Yeah.
adult, because I always had a drink at most parties.
To help you feel
Always
comfortable socializing.
feeling more comfortable. I would walk in, I would have a drink. It
Yeah.
was like an automatic habit. Like before bed, I brush my teeth. Well,
Yeah.
when I drank wine, sometimes I didn't. But it's like I would walk in, I would grab a drink, and
Nice.
then I would have couple sips of whatever, and then I would be like, oh, like, party animal. That was
Yeah.
me, social butterfly. I would
Right.
talk to
Right.
everybody, and I would be the last one to go to sleep.
Yes. Yes.
But when I stopped, that was number one thing where I was like, oh, why do I feel so awkward? And I'm like, oh, do I
But
need a
now
drink to have
but
fun?
now you're like aware of your emotions and you have
Yes,
to
but
deal with your feelings in a different way.
yes, but I learned how to really like relax without it and have the best time. I have the best time at parties, and I connect on such level where I talk about really like deep things. Like I listen to people, and then half an hour into it, we are talking about some really deep emotional issues, and it's
That's just
amazing.
you,
That's what
Olga.
but that's
You're
what
easy to talk
connection is
to.
all about,
You're easy to talk
versus
to.
like, oh, how's the weather? Oh, weather
Yeah.
is, whatever. And like that disconnection is
Yeah.
makes us feel so lonely. And it's a
Hmm.
lonely society. So I thought alcohol helped me to connect, but it does not.
It
Like
does the
now I
opposite.
connect with people.
Yeah.
It does the opposite because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, and you
Well,
talked about the beers, the empty beer bottles. I remember, trash day and all of the wine bottles in it. And whenever, if I
yeah.
ever heard the trash, being picked up, and I would hear
You
all
could
my
hear the
glass
bottles.
bottles going down, and I would be like, ooh,
Oh.
that's terrible. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that really well.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I really hope that this is, I'm hoping that this speaks to our listeners that have been questioning whether or not they really want to have alcohol in their lives. And it's not easy to get away from, like, it's just not, because it's all around us,
Mhm.
surrounding us. Everybody's doing it. We have spouses, family, it's not an easy thing to pull away. And I've done this, and I've got family, that drink alcohol and very close friends. It's going to change your life, and we have to
Mhm.
stand for ourselves. And so, if that's you, you're listening and you kind of question it, if you are even questioning it, girl, I'm talking to you. I'm saying you can be free from it if you don't want to have it. If it's
Mhm.
bothering you in your life, you don't have to let it bother you anymore. And you don't have to do that alone. And you can reach out for a friend who can understand, like Olga.
Mhm.
She would be
Yeah.
there for you. And so, Olga,
Yes.
I think if there is there anything else that you want to share or talk about? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to tell our listeners where they can connect with you or reach out to a group. Anything
Yes,
else you want to talk
definitely.
about?
I just want to end with saying waking up in the morning feeling proud of myself.
Oh, yeah.
That was my goal. Like, I wanted to be proud of who I am and know what I'm doing when, what I'm
Mm,
saying, and just really not needing something outside of myself to feel better, figuring
oh,
out how to feel better on my own.
yeah.
And I can tell you, like, if you're listening right now and you feel like I did, where I felt like I was screaming on the inside, I was screaming for help. I looked fine. People tell me all the time, oh, I didn't know you were suffering. You
Right.
looked
That's normal.
fine. You were
That's
so
typical.
positive.
So
You were
common.
so nice and all the things. Yes, I was
Yeah.
all the things inside, screaming for help.
Yeah.
Didn't know
Yeah.
where to go.
Yeah.
Please reach out to me, and I will give you all resources that I have. And you don't have to work with me.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, if you don't need a coach
Hmm.
who works with you individually, there's all kinds of group settings and books, podcasts, and all of the resources I'll be more than happy to share with you.
Right, right.
Thank you
And
for
I want
having
to
me, Anna. Yeah.
Oh, well, and I want to say one last thing too as we wrap up, just based on, what I do every single day, coaching,
Mhm.
encouraging, inspiring, motivating women to take care of their bodies. That alone, I just want to encourage you in this way. If you are drinking alcohol on a regular basis, it's harder. It's just harder to manage your calories and your nutrition if you're
Mhm.
regularly including alcohol in your diet. It's just harder to manage, especially if you need to lose weight or even if you're having health issues, cholesterol, glucose, these kind of things, insulin resistance. If you're drinking alcohol, it's just really exasperating the issue. It's making it worse. And so, if nothing else, like think about your health, and it's also taking away from your performance. So, you want to feel stronger, healthier, your cardiovascular system, functioning better. You want to be more efficient, your metabolism, your hormones balanced. Then think about this. You're not going to be missing out. You're going to be
No.
winning. You
Oh
aren't
my
losing
gosh.
anything. You are gaining so much more by letting it go. And so I just want to encourage you again. You can reach out to Olga. She'll show you the way. And Olga, you have a group. You have a Facebook group too, right? Is that still
Yes,
active?
yes.
Tell us about your
Yes,
group that you have.
it's active. It's called Peak Wellness Revolution. I post there probably about once a week or so. I strive to, but you can find me there, or you can just send me direct message on Facebook. I
We'll
will
put you in the show
mostly
notes.
I work closely with people, with women,
Hmm.
and provide individual coaching.
Yeah.
But
And I see,
yeah.
like, there's a lot of groups out there. So I just want to share with our listeners,
Hmm.
particularly our listeners, because I feel like there's
Yes.
just different groups of people that they're attracted to certain people and groups. And if they're attracted to you or
Mhm.
myself, then some groups may not be the group that they want to be in. Because I've seen some groups where it's
Mhm.
like, people who they're not thinking about alcohol in terms of health necessarily. They're
Mhm.
more like all caught up in the guilt and shame. And I really, if somebody wants help, like I would love to see them directed to your group, because Olga, you're
Mhm.
just amazing at helping women see who they are and who they're meant to be, from a very
Mhm.
positive point of view. Encouragement, support, the love is there. There's no judgment. And
Mhm.
also you have steps, like practical
Mhm.
steps to take, and how to get free from it. So um, yeah, I love your group
Yes.
because you're speaking to a lot of, you tend to work with and work well with women who are career minded, or they're
Mhm.
professionals and they're working all the time. They have high levels of stress because of it. Those are the women I see that you tend to help the most, like the best. Like to me, I mean, I'm not speaking for you, but that's what I
Yes.
see.
Yes. And with me, that nurse in me, I became a nurse for a reason. Like, I just love people. I want to help. I cannot save anyone. I can share the tools. I can share different things that I've learned, and I have so many different tools to try
Yeah,
because one approach is not going to work for each person.
right.
But I lead with kindness and empathy. And
Yeah,
because I have been there myself,
yeah,
and I can relate on such deep
yeah,
level.
yeah,
And I love women that are curious. What else
yeah.
is possible for me?
I love that.
I
You're
I,
so
I
passionate.
love
You're so
that.
great at what you do. You are truly amazing. And so, with that said, again, the thing is, there are books you can read, there's
Mhm.
podcasts you can listen to, there's audio books you can, but there is nothing that replaces this personal connection with people who can support you. And that is so important. I think having somebody right there by your side as you're walking through the process is like no book or audio book or podcast can replace that. We all need community, and we need that help, that personal touch. So
Yeah.
go find Olga. Olga, thank you so much
Yeah.
again for being
Yeah.
on this podcast with us. Um, that's it. So we're gonna have all of your information inside of the podcast notes, so you can go find links and to yeah, whatever you need. And as always, if you have any question for myself, or anything at all, just let me know. And we'd love to hear what you thought about this podcast episode. Any thoughts? Or if you know somebody that might benefit from listening to this conversation, then please share this episode with us. Olga, thank you so much. Appreciate you, girl. Everybody,
Yeah. Thank you,
stay
Anna. I love
strong.
you.
Stay strong
Yeah.
and rock on. Bye, Olga.
Bye.